All right, children. So today we are going to be talking about squares and square roots. Now, we've done this before. We've talked about squares. You guys should have a pretty good understanding of what squares are. But let's go over some things. So, to square a number, means to multiply it by itself. Square a number needs to multiply by itself. So when I square a number, I have something like 3 to the power of 2. Right? These numbers have different meanings. This one here is called the base, and this one up here is called the power. So base and power, or exponent. And so if I were to have 3 squared, that would mean I'm timesing it by itself. So this is 3 times 3. Now, be careful. When you see a square like this, it does not mean that you're timesing it by 2. Even though it's a little 2, it does not mean you are timesing it by 2. It means you're timesing it by itself. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 squared is 9. Now, I'm going to just going to transition so quickly, but I'm going to write down a list of squares, perfect squares. Perfect squares are things like this. 3 squared equals 9. I'm going to write down a whole list. I'm going to want you to pause it and write down all these ones. It will be really good to have a running list of squares in your notebook. Okay? All right, here are the perfect squares. If I were you, I would write each of these down. It's going to be really, really helpful to have a list of perfect squares for the work we're going to do. So go ahead and pause the video, write these all down, and then we will come back and work through some more of this when you resume. All right, so squaring means to multiply a number by itself. There's another concept, and it's called square rooting. Square rooting is the opposite of squaring. So you've maybe seen it before, but a square root symbol looks like this. And so if I said, okay, what is the square root of 49? This means what number multiplied by itself equals 49? Well, we know that the square root of 49 is 7, because 7 squared equals 49. Since 7 squared equals 49, the reverse, the square root of 49 equals 7. When we're finding square root, we're finding one of the bases that multiplies together. So if you have this list written down, you should be able to just look backwards and see the square roots. So doing something like, okay, what is the square root of 169? Yeah, nice. It's 13. Great job. 169, square root is 13, because 13 squared equals 169. That's how square roots work. They work backwards. They work really well when your number is on this list. But what happens if your number is something like, I don't know, let's say the square root of 20. Well, 20 is not on this list. Square root of 20 is not on this list, so we need to think about, okay, well, 20, what 2 perfect squares come before 20 and after 20? Well, if I'm looking down my list of perfect squares, 20 would fit in between these 2 numbers, right? It would fit in between 16 and 25. And the square root of 16 is 4. The square root of 25 is 5. So the square root of 25 is going to be approximately 4 point something, probably 4.4. I'm making that up off the top of my head. Let me check on my calculator really quick. The square root of 20 is 4.47. Hey, I was pretty close. 4.4 would be the square root of 20. So we can estimate by figuring out where would numbers go in between. If I said, okay, what is the square root of 219? Well, 219 is in between my numbers of 196 and 225, which this is 14 and this is 15, and it's probably closer to the 15 side, so I'm going to say it's 14.7 maybe. We can use our calculator to check. Your calculator should have a square root button on it. You can check the square root of 219, and you would get, hey, that was pretty close again. The correct answer is 14.7986485869487, and it just continues. Square roots continue forever. So that is doing my square roots. All right. As we're going through here, you tell me what two numbers is the square root of 80 in between. What two bases would the square root of 80 be in between? You let me know, and I will see you all. We'll go over some more of this tomorrow. Have a great night.